Before we go ahead and start designing the shaders on the environment and the creatures, there's something we have to fix with the rocks here. Now, if you zoom in your camera to look closer at the river area here, you can see the rocks that we're getting in the render view don't match the layout in the viewport here. And instancing can get a little bit complicated, especially when working with third-party renderers. Houdini's own Mantra and Karma will handle packed disk primitives pretty seamlessly, but different softwares have different expectations and ways of handling instancing. So this instance SOP level packed primitives looks like this is not working well with packed disk primitives. There are different ways of creating packed objects. You can pack the object in memory and copy it to points, and there are different ways of handling packed geom, and the Redshift form of instancing seems to not handle packed disk objects correctly. So if we turn off this instance SOP level packed primitives option and then rerun the render, this is probably going to give us the rocks in the correct position, but we'll be back to a very slow scene build and render time. And sure enough, our new render with the instance SOP level packed primitives option turned off has rocks that perfectly match between the render view and our viewport. But this took a long time for Redshift to build the scene. The actual rendering seemed to go pretty fast, but it took a really, really long time for Redshift to initialize this with all of that heavy geometry, so we really don't want to just disable instancing here. Now let's fix this by going into our render rocks geometry object. Actually, let's turn on instancing first, and let's go back inside here. And if you middle mouse on the object merge, you can see this is 2021 packed disk objects. But we have this very handy SOP called repack that will convert this to standard packed geometries. This will also convert packed alembics as well into these standard Houdini packed geos. So here we've got packed disks, here we've got packed geos, and if we jump out of this render rocks, and we've got our instancing turned back on there, and we can rerun our render and then verify that this still matches what we see in the viewport. And that was pretty quick to initialize, and you can see that it's already rendered the center of the image here. It's just running some of these outer blocks now. And this still matches perfectly to the viewport, and now we're benefiting from our instancing, and we've solved that mismatch problem.